Hi, I'm Doug. I've been a fitness and rehabilitation professional for 29 years. How does a baby develop the skill of walking? One thing that we know from research is that humans are not born with the ability to walk. It's not something that we can simply be born separated from everybody else and learn the skill of walking on our own. Walking is something that requires parent intervention, and it requires an environment that allows the child to safely learn to walk again. One thing that we also know is that when you think about a baby, you don't take a baby to a gym and have them lift weights. You don't look at the child that's not walking and say to yourself, this child is weak, that's why they can't walk, so we're going to give them strength training. You also don't take the child and put it in a classroom and tell it, these are all the principles of walking, this is how you should have posture, this is where you should hold your arm or your foot, because that would be ridiculous. Babies don't understand that kind of instruction, and certainly a baby wouldn't be brought into an exercise class or given anything that would strengthen their arms and legs. We all are pretty much aware that a baby has enough strength to be able to stand. The question is, why isn't the baby initially able to walk? It's because the baby lacks the coordination and balance to be able to walk when they're in a standing position. So it's not a strength issue, it's a coordination, a balance, and sort of a programming issue. The child doesn't yet have the skill of walking. I have to ask, why when we look at an adult that's lost the ability to walk, do we automatically assume that they can't walk because they're not strong? I ask any new student of mine, any new employee of mine, look at someone with a stroke and tell me, why can't they walk? Why can't they get around? And the first answer they always give is strength. But when we look at the baby, we don't think that the baby isn't strong enough. We just assume that the baby lacks that skill. And I agree with that. That's the problem, is the baby doesn't have the skill yet and hasn't acquired the skill to walk. So another way to think about this problem is think about a young, fit, young adult who plays in sports, is highly functional, and has a sudden accident, a car accident, and suddenly, because of a brain injury, can't walk. It's not one that causes any kind of spinal cord injury. The muscles are just as strong as they were before, but the person can't walk because of the brain injury, because the parts of the brain that control coordination and balance and thinking are affected. So we wouldn't give that young, fit adult strength training because we know that really it's problems with his brain. And what we're hoping is that that young adult can relearn how to walk again. But when we look at an older person, a lot of times the tendency is to assume, because they're older, that the problem is strength. When just like a baby, the older adult has lost the skill of walking, not strength in the muscles as the limiting factor. Walking is a motor skill. We gain it through repeated practice. It's not something we're born with. It's not something that we're pre-programmed for. Walking is programming that we acquire by failure, repeated failure. The baby stands up and holds on to something and tries to let go, loses its balance, and falls down. The baby stands up on 2 feet and tries to take the first step and fails and falls down. It's that repeated failure that teaches the baby, okay, if I do this or that, it's not going to work. So the baby eventually learns what's the right way to hold my leg, what's the right way to control this muscle, what's the right way to balance on one leg. It's through that repeated failure that the baby eventually acquires the skill of walking. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to see more videos like this. If you want to access my full training course, click the link below in the description. This is not physical therapy or medical training. It is not meant to be medical advice to anyone. It is intended only as educational information for trainers and therapists. No one should ever perform an exercise without consulting with their doctor or medical professional.